Imagine this. It is the first week of the month. You sit down at your kitchen table with a cup of coffee. You open your bank account, and the number is wrong. Your Social Security check is much smaller than usual. Maybe half of it is gone. At first, you think it must be a bank delay. Then you check again. Still missing. Then you remember something. A letter came from Social Security a few weeks ago. You placed it on the counter. You meant to read it later, but life got busy. Now rent is due. The electric bill is due. Prescription costs are waiting. And suddenly, you are asking the terrifying question, can Social Security really take half of my check? The answer is yes, in some cases. But here is the important part. There are official protections, there are forms, there are deadlines. And if you act quickly, you may be able to stop or reduce the damage. I am Edward. I help retirees and seniors understand complicated government rules in plain English. Today, I want to walk you through one of the most important Social Security rules right now. It involves something called an overpayment notice. That is a letter from the Social Security Administration saying they believe they paid you more money than you should have received. And under current SSA policy, if you ignore that letter, Social Security may begin withholding part of your monthly benefit. For many retirement, survivor, family, and SSDI beneficiaries, that withholding can be up to 50% of the monthly benefit. Now please stay calm. This video is not here to scare you, it is here to protect you. I will show you what the rule actually says, what the letter means, what forms protect you, and the 3 steps you should take immediately. And stay until the end, because there is one hidden mistake many seniors make. They think asking for a waiver is the same as filing an appeal. It is not, and that misunderstanding can cost people their payments. Let me tell you about Robert. Robert is fictional, but his situation is based on the kind of problems retirees can face. Robert is 67 years old. He worked for more than 40 years. He receives Social Security retirement benefits every month. He is careful with his money. He pays his bills on time. He does not think of himself as someone who breaks rules. One afternoon, Robert gets a letter from Social Security. The letter says he was overpaid. It says SSA believes he received more money than he should have. Robert is shocked. He says, "That cannot be right. I never asked for extra money." He reads the first few lines. Then he gets frustrated. The letter has government language. It talks about repayment. It talks about appeal rights. It talks about waiver rights. Robert feels overwhelmed. So he puts the letter in a drawer. He tells himself, this must be Social Security's mistake. They will fix it. But Robert makes one small mistake. He does nothing. He does not call SSA, he does not file an appeal, he does not request a waiver, he does not ask for a lower withholding rate. Weeks pass. Then 1 month, Robert checks his bank account. His Social Security payment is much lower. He panics. He calls SSA and says, "Why did you cut my check?" The answer is painful. SSA had sent him an overpayment notice. Because he did not respond in time, recovery started. Now Robert is trying to fix the problem while already missing money. That is the Robert trap. It is not always about doing something wrong. Sometimes the trap is doing nothing because the letter is confusing. And for retirees living on a fixed income, doing nothing can be very expensive. Now let's break this down carefully. No rumors, no politics, just the official SSA facts. First, what is an overpayment? According to the Social Security Administration, an overpayment happens when Social Security pays you more money than you should have received. This can happen for many reasons. Maybe SSA had missing information. Maybe your income changed. Maybe your work status changed. Maybe your living situation changed. Maybe your marital status changed. Maybe there was incorrect or incomplete information. And sometimes, the mistake may not feel like your fault at all. But SSA says when an overpayment happens, the agency is required to seek repayment. Now here is the part every senior must understand. If SSA believes you were overpaid, they send a written overpayment notice. That notice should explain several things. It should explain why SSA believes you were overpaid. It should show the amount SSA says you owe. It should explain repayment options, and it should explain your appeal and waiver rights. This letter is not junk mail. This letter is not something to place in a drawer. This letter is a deadline document. Now let's talk about the rule behind the title of this video. For Title II Social Security Benefits, SSA changed the default withholding policy. Title II benefits include many common Social Security payments. That includes retirement benefits, survivor benefits, family benefits, and Social Security Disability Insurance, also called SSDI. According to SSA Emergency Message EM 25029, effective April 25, 2025, new Title II overpayment notices provide a default benefit withholding rate of 50% of the monthly benefit. That means if a person does not request reconsideration, does not request a waiver, and does not negotiate a lower repayment rate, SSA can recover the overpayment by withholding up to 50% of the Title II benefit payment. That is where the phrase, "cut your check in half," comes from. It is not a secret cancellation. It is overpayment recovery. But for a senior who depends on that money for rent, food, and medicine, the effect can feel devastating. Now, one very important distinction. SSI is different. Supplemental Security Income, or SSI, has different overpayment withholding rules. SSA says for SSI overpayments, the proposed withholding rate is generally the lesser of 10% or the entire monthly payment. So do not confuse regular Social Security retirement benefits with SSI. Different programs, different rules, different withholding amounts. Now let's talk about the most common misconception. Many seniors believe, if SSA made the mistake, I do not have to respond. That is dangerous. Even if you believe the mistake was caused by SSA, you still need to respond using the official process, because the system does not stop simply because you are upset. The system stops or pauses when you file the correct request. That request may be an appeal, it may be a waiver, or it may be a request for a lower recovery rate. Now here is another major misunderstanding. An appeal and a waiver are not the same thing. An appeal is used when you believe SSA is wrong. For example, you believe you were not overpaid, or you believe the amount is incorrect. For that, SSA identifies Form SSA 561, Request for Reconsideration. A waiver is different. A waiver is used when you believe you should not have to pay the money back, usually because the overpayment was not your fault, and paying it back would cause hardship or would be unfair. For that, SSA identifies Form SSA 632-BK, Request for Waiver of Overpayment Recovery. This distinction matters. If Robert believes the overpayment amount is wrong, he should appeal. If Robert accepts that the overpayment happened but cannot afford repayment and believes it was not his fault, he should request a waiver. In some cases, a person may need to ask questions and possibly pursue both options depending on the situation. But the key is this: do not guess. Read the letter. Contact SSA. Use the correct form. Now let's talk about the protection that many seniors do not know about. SSA says that if you submit a waiver or appeal before 30 days have passed, SSA will not begin collecting until a decision is made. This is extremely important. That means the first 30 days after the notice can be critical. Also, SSA's appeal information gives a 60-day window to ask for an appeal if you disagree with the decision. So there are deadlines. And missing those deadlines can make the situation harder. Now, what if you agree that you were overpaid, but you cannot afford the amount SSA wants to withhold? There is another protection. SSA says you can request a lower recovery rate using Form SSA 634. Request for change in overpayment recovery rate. This is for someone who says, Yes, I understand SSA says there was an overpayment, but I cannot survive if you withhold that much each month. That form matters because it gives you a way to ask SSA for smaller monthly withholding. Now let's be very clear about the consequences. If you ignore the letter, SSA can begin withholding benefits to recover the overpayment. For Title II benefits, that may mean up to 50% of your monthly benefit. For SSI, the rule is generally 10% withholding, and if you no longer receive benefits, SSA says it may collect in other ways. That can include withholding a federal tax refund, withholding certain state payments, or garnishing wages. SSA also says if a person dies before the overpayment is fully repaid, it may seek repayment from someone who receives benefits based on that person's record. That is why this letter matters. It can affect more than 1 month. It can affect your household budget. It can affect your family. Now, I want to say this gently. If you receive one of these letters, do not panic, but also do not delay. Panic causes mistakes. Delay causes consequences. The best response is calm, fast action. Here are the 3 steps I want every senior to remember. Step 1. Open every SSA letter immediately. Do not assume it is routine. Do not assume it is a mistake. Do not leave it in a drawer. Look for these words: overpayment, repayment, waiver, appeal, reconsideration, recovery rate. If you see any of those words, treat the letter as urgent. Write the date you received it at the top of the letter. Keep the envelope too, if possible. That can help show when it arrived. Step 2. Decide which protection fits your situation. Ask yourself 3 simple questions. Question 1. Do I believe SSA is wrong? If yes, you may need to appeal using Form SSA 561, Request for Reconsideration. Question 2. Do I believe the overpayment was not my fault and I cannot afford to pay it back? If yes, you may need to request a waiver using Form SSA 632BK. Question 3. Do I agree there is an overpayment, but I cannot afford the monthly withholding amount? If yes, you may need to request a lower recovery rate using Form SSA 634. Again, do not guess if you are unsure. Call SSA. Visit ssa.gov. Contact your local Social Security office, or ask a trusted benefits counselor or qualified representative for help. Step 3. Keep proof of everything. This is where many people make a costly mistake. They call SSA, but they do not write down who they spoke with. They mail a form, but they do not keep a copy. They upload a document, but they do not save confirmation. Please do not do that. Keep a folder. In that folder, place a copy of the SSA letter, a copy of every form you submit, proof of mailing or upload confirmation, notes from every phone call, dates and times, names of representatives if given, copies of bills, rent, utilities, medical costs, bank statements, and income records if you are claiming hardship. This matters because waiver requests often involve showing your income, expenses, and assets. If you cannot afford repayment, your records help tell the story. And here is the hidden mistake I warned you about. Do not simply say, "I cannot afford this," and stop there. You need to use the official process. You need the right form. You need the right deadline. You need proof. The government runs on paperwork. Your protection often depends on paperwork. Let me close with this. If you are a senior living on Social Security, you cannot afford to miss important rule changes. And you should not rely only on YouTube notifications. Sometimes YouTube does not send alerts. Sometimes videos get buried. Sometimes the information reaches people too late. That is why we created the Global Senior Alerts Official WhatsApp channel. The link is in the description. When you join, you can download the free Senior Benefits Protection Guide. You can also receive real-time alerts about Social Security, pensions, bank rules, insurance policies, Medicare updates, and travel regulations that may affect retirees. This is especially important if you live alone, or if you help a spouse, or if you manage benefits for a parent, because one missed letter can create months of stress. One missed deadline can reduce a check. One misunderstood form can cost money you need for basic living expenses. So before you leave this video, do 3 things. First, like this video so more seniors see it. Second, share it with someone who receives Social Security. Third, click the link in the description and join the Global Senior Alerts official WhatsApp channel to get the free guide. And remember this, an SSA overpayment letter is not something to fear, but it is something to respect. Open it, read it, respond quickly, use your rights, and protect the benefits you worked for. I am Edward. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay calm, and stay protected.